talk about the Woman King. I'm gonna talk about a couple of things concerning that, and I'm gonna just put it out there. Like a lot of y'all already know, I'm a Hebrew Israelite, so I have a different perspective. Now, I'm not knocking nobody, but the truth is the truth, and so I'm gonna give my perspective on this movie, and how I feel about it. Now, I had heard about the Woman King about 4 or 5 months ago before it was going to come out. I seen a couple of trailers. I haven't seen the movie yet, but of course, there's been a bit controversy since the movie done came out. You got black people that agree with the movie, that that say it was a great movie, they were entertained, and you got black people that are, you know, boycotting the movie and saying this is not it. They don't like the messages that's being portrayed as far as masculine women and slavery, the things that actually happened in slavery. Now, The Woman King is a movie, and like I'm gonna say, I haven't watched it. I really didn't have a desire to watch it because I already had knew the history of the kingdom of Dahomey, and I knew the history of what they did and how they participated in the slave trade, and I'm gonna get to that a little later. As far as um, everybody that's black ain't the same. In 2022, going on 23, we as black people, as a black community, as the woke community, as Pan Africans, as foundational black Americans, don't know that everybody black was not the same. There were different races and different stocks, right? Different groups of people on the continent of Africa. Today, there are different groups of people on the continent of Africa. They're not the same. And so when it comes to the kingdom of Dahomey rose to prominence from the slave trade. So they basically grew because of the slave trade and, the riches and, the wealth they receive from going in, kidnapping other tribes, kidnapping other peoples, having wars and taking prisoners of war. And that's how they came to prominence as far as their kingdom. And because they made a lot of wealth from the slave trade. And so this is something that what it also exposes or reveals about black people is that that's a part that black people don't want to deal with, because we push that line that, even the Europeans push that line that, we come from the motherland. Everybody is black. We all come from the motherland. Therefore, we're all one group of people. We're all Africans. That's what's have been pushed since I can remember in my life, and so what you have to deal with is the fact that maybe if that's the case, that your people sold your own damn people, right? Because that's what the white supremacists and those type of people, they always push that. They pushed when you talk about slavery, they say, well, Africans were selling Africans, and the point is that I'm making is that what I just said is that everybody wasn't the same. So the fact that they were selling other dark skinned groups of people doesn't mean they were selling their own people. It doesn't mean that. But black people have to deal with that fact. And not only that, this movie gives the white supremacists a reason to say to absolve themselves of any responsibility of their forefathers being a part of the transatlantic slave trade, because they like, well, look, this is what we've been saying the whole time. Your people sold your own people. That's how you got here on slave ships. So we're not just at fault. You're at fault too, right? So they don't get off the hook. They don't get off the hook. Their ancestors don't get off the hook for what they done. But what black people have to realize is that we're not all the same people. You had Nigerians, you had the Kingdom of Dahomey, you had the Sinhalese, you had different groups of Africans today that are still here today. Those countries are still here today that participated in the transatlantic slave trade in selling Negroes to America. So is we gonna deal with that? Because we seem not to want to deal with that, and that this movie brings out a brutal fact. Now I have a book, if I can find it. Where did I put that book? Let me get it real quick. Let me get this book real quick. Let me find it. Oh, here it is. There we go. So this book is called The Memoirs of Captain Hugh Crow. See, this is the type of stuff you got to pick up. This is the type of stuff you got to read, right? Let me see if it's showing. This is the type of stuff you got to read, right? This was a European. Like, there's a lot of memoirs from the European slave shipmasters that actually were there during that time period. And the story that we've been told, or the story that's always pushed, is that, you know, the Europeans came and conquered and stole us and put us on slave ships. Now, you might find instances where that happened to, you know, certain people, like particular people, when they tell their story. But as a group of people, that's not what happened. They literally were there, living amongst the tribal African leaders, you know, eating their food, participating in events and festivals, and, you know, even being married, getting married to African women. They were in between, like a middleman. So they would come and stay for 2 to 3 months. They would come and stay, and you know, they wrote down what they saw, because they love to take good records, right? And in his book, he outlines how there was a difference in races. He outlines how there were people, the people that were caught. Now, in one instance, when he was about to leave off the coast, a tornado came and knocked the boat onto shore where it got caught. It was what you call it, anchored by the sand. And so, because the ship was leaning, they made cargo come from the bottom decks, the slaves, about 30 of them come from the bottom decks, and the slaves got out and helped and pushed the boat to get it back into the water. And so when you think about things like that, he was wowed by their temperament. And then he said these people were of a better race and stock than the people on the coast, meaning the people on the coast were those people, the Dahamians, the different tribal leaders that went into the interior and would kidnap and go to war with other people and bring those people out to the Europeans and sell them. He's seen a difference between the two people. Now, this is a first-hand account. First-hand account, right? He even describes some of them having customs that are similar to the Hebrew Israelites in the Bible. And so that's one thing. That's what I just been saying. Like, you gotta do some research to really understand that everybody wasn't the same. Now, I don't want to sidebar and get too far off of it, but what I want to talk about is the movie. Now, I want to go into the history. So Dahomey was basically the kingdom where he was at, and he even spoke on it and gave plenty of examples of when a king would die. What they would do is they would kill all of his wives. He have 20 wives, they would kill all the wives too. They would do human sacrifice, and then after that, they would eat the human. They would eat the prisoner of war, right? And so this was the kingdom of Dahomey. So as a black person, you're like, yeah, and you're in this what I call Wakandan spirit. Y'all remember that in Black Panther, when black people thought they was getting a real identity from the Black Panther movie, right? From a Marvel movie. Black people thought that, oh, this is us. This is yeah, Black Wakanda forever. This is Black Power. It was just a woke experience when all that happened. I feel like it's the same thing from the comments I've been in the reactions I've been getting from black people, as far as the movie being good. They loved the movie. It was excellent. It did good at the box office. All of that crap, right? When you do that, what you're doing you're celebrating the destruction of your own people. You're celebrating the destruction of your own foremothers and forefathers, because that's what these people did. Y'all talk like they was talking about how it's black girl magic, and how black women is strong and blah blah blah. Well, those women in that particular movie that you watched, you wanted to be entertained by, those women had had a hand in the destruction of your people. When you think about what happened to slaves once they got here, those people are connected. They are the reason why that happened to your forefathers and foremothers. It is far from something that should be celebrated. It's far from some, and also what it also shows you is that black people, we are simple. We don't give a damn about history. We could care less about what happened in the past and how we got here to this day. Then we talk all of this shit about, what black men need to do, what black women need to do, and you don't even realize that all you got to do is pick up your goddamn phone. All you got to do is pick up this thing right here and Google something, or since COVID is over, go. I think libraries are open again. Go to a damn library and do some research about your history. We don't even give a damn about what happened and how we got here. And that's the reason why you have black people today celebrating the movie The Woman King. Now think about this. The Woman King. The Woman King. A king is a man. It's almost like saying the male queen, the man queen. You get what I'm saying? It's confusion. It's confusion. And then when you think about what's going on in the world today, especially in America, all the alternative lifestyles they pushing on us, the change of our roles and all of that, it's not nothing to be surprised about. But you got to be smart enough to see it. Now, I've seen some black people that was upset about that, particularly black women saying, listen, I'm supposed to be feminine. I'm not going to support nothing like this. I don't need to be no beast and no warrior, none of that. My strength is in my femininity, which I agree with. I agree with that. I also agree that black men have become effeminate. You see that not only in the black community with the emotionalism that we have as far as in the streets and how we got a short fuse with one another over little small disagreements, and we kill one another over really petty small things now over things on social media. But I see those things, how the role has changed. And if you know anything about the Willie Lynch letter, this is exactly what the plan was. Now the Willie Lynch letter has never been corroborated, but it is on point with the way that our social structure is in our community. It is definitely on point. And you continue to see movies like this come out where it's just a destructive movie. It has nothing to do with, a positive image for black women, for black men, nothing at all. It was about box office. Now, I read a couple of columns to reactions to how black people are not really feeling the movie. And people were saying basically the producers and everything were saying that it's not a documentary. It's not a history lesson. They took a little bit of history and then they fantasize, put some fiction in there, made up a story up in there in order for it to do good at the box office. So we have to really separate Hollywood from true history, because Hollywood is going to do what it want to do and make money off of black stories. At the same time, they're butchering the real truth. And black people should care. We should care enough to want to know the real truth, not to want to know the truth of, I believe the two producers are two white women that brought this movie to the screen, not to know the truth of the people who are giving you their version of your history, but to actually dig and get your own damn history, right? So the Woman King, you got a masculine woman. You got, from what I've seen, effeminate, soft men, right? You also have the fact that we are not African. This story had nothing to literally do with us. But it did show what happened to us from another dark-skinned people. I want somebody to prove me if I'm wrong when I say we are not African. Prove that I'm lying. Prove that the relationships between Africans in America and black people who came on slave ships is a solid relationship. It's a mutual relationship. Prove that. And I'll show you many instances where it is not. I'll show you, matter of fact, I'm gonna put it in this video. I'll show you African tribal leaders apologizing for their role in slavery. I'll show you that. I'll show you a Nigerian on his knees in front of Hebrew Israelites, Commander General Yohana and the ISUPK, apologizing for his role, his people's role in the destruction of black people coming to the shores in the transatlantic slave trade to America. Show me where I'm wrong for that, because we like to romanticize and fantasize about being one group of people, being brothers, being from the motherland. We like to fantasize about that real hard in the woke conscious community. In all of those communities, we like to fantasize about that, but the reality and what's right in our face doesn't match up, because that same energy is not given back to us. It's not reciprocated. That energy that they be having, it be a negative energy towards us. It be an energy where they ain't trying to deal with us like that. But our energy be like, we want to get DNA testing. We want to go visit the motherland. We want to go, take pictures in front of the pyramids. We be on all the bullshit. And the truth be right in our faces. Be right in our faces. Listen, this video, I don't give a damn like if this upsets anybody, right? Because it's the truth. It's the truth about the relationship between black people and Africans. And I'm just talking about this based on the movie, based on the reaction of black people and the energy that we always have when these type of movies come out. Like the energy we had for Wakanda was crazy. We cannot get our identity or get a nationality from a damn movie that Europeans are making. How does that even work? Right? And then you say black girl magic. Well, that black girl magic or that, white girl magic, that's the producers. They the ones that produced it. This what is it? This image or this part of history in this movie called The Woman King, that part of history is real history. And that's the reason why you're here today in America destroyed. You're here today in America twerking. You're here today in America being discriminated against still in 2022. You're here today in America looking back on your foremothers who were raped, they had a direct hand in that. That's what that movie is pushing, and that's what you really support when you say how great the movie was and how good the story was, right? Because that's what it's based on. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an angry black man. Shout out to my brother Sock Award G, Sock G, for Angry Black Man Media. But maybe I'm just an angry black man. Maybe I'm just somebody that just thinks too much. Could that be possible? A person that thinks too much? A person that researched too much? Is that possible? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. But let me know what you think about what I just said about the Woman King. And I'm gonna put these clips right here. The first clip I'm gonna show you is a tribal leader from Ghana that is apologizing for their role in the transatlantic slave trade.
I wish at this point to particularly to apologize deeply on behalf of the chiefs and people of Gold Coast and Ghana for the atrocities, the cruelty, the inhuman treatment that were committed 400 years ago by my ancestors during the Atlantic slave trade.
Now this next video is a Nigerian on his knees in Times Square apologizing.
Are you African?
Yeah.
From where?
Nigeria.
From Nigeria.
Yeah.
And are you on your knees because you recognize what the Nigerians did to black people?
Sure.
What did they do to black people?
I saw you guys as slaves.
Hey, give him a hand. Give him a hand. For those of you that didn't hear what he said, this Nigerian is on his knees because he said, we sold you black people as slaves. This is what he's saying right now. He's recognizing that slavery was part and parcel because that's what I mean. You Negroes want to be African. Africa, Africa, Africa. Here's a real African. Here's a real life Nigerian right before your eyes. And he said, we sold you in slavery. I'm on my knees to make penance for it. I'm on my knees to apologize. I assume you apologize. He's on his knees to apologize. Black people, you should see this, man.
So with all that said and done, let me know what you think about this video in the comments. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know how you feel about it. You know, just spill it all out there, put it all out there and keep it real. And you already know what it is. You angry, you mad, you feel that I'm right, whatever the case may be. And with that, this is Black Authentic Truth.